there, my name is Andrea. I'm going to be doing a cookbook video today. There's a cookbook collab and several of us are getting together and making a huge playlist of videos specifically for cooking from a cookbook. It's also a great way to look at these videos and to see whether or not you're interested in this cookbook. Like if this is the one I'm going to be doing today. I know that somebody's doing Pioneer Woman also, so if you're interested in some of these cookbooks and you're not sure if you're into some of the recipes, this playlist that's linked in the description is going to be a really good place to go to see people cook from certain recipe books and decide whether or not you'd even want to purchase that. This whole entire collab is brought to you by our host, Southern Wife Everyday Life, and she was nice enough to invite me. I've been invited to collabs, isn't that fun? Okay, so let's get on into it. This is the cookbook. Those are all my cookbooks. I've got 3 shelves of cookbooks, but I wanted to do this one. It's a favorite, but I'm actually cooking a few recipes in this video that I've never cooked before, although I've cooked several. I specifically picked ones that I've never cooked. I really do like Trisha Yearwood cookbooks. If you are new here, I've got 3 little toddlers and I'm pregnant with our 4th. So the food that I cook here is sometimes toddler geared, but I show mainly what we have for dinner. Hopefully I'm going to do a kitchen tour here soon and start to put more videos out as I find my place in the YouTube world. And I appreciate anybody that stops by just to say hello. Let's go see what Trisha Yearwood's cooking. We are first starting out with some pumpkin bread from Pat. You can pour more. It's got to go all the way to the top. All the way up to here. My finger is.
Your finger where it is.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You're doing a really great job. And stop. Wow, good job, Josiah. That's perfect. Because of an accident I had, my mom's given me this Kuhn Rikon. It's a Swiss company can opener, and it makes the edges nice and round. While the recipe does call for 3 cups of white sugar, I'm only going to do about 2 cups of white sugar and 1 cup of brown sugar, just because I feel like it would add more depth that way. Because I'm not scooping my flour properly, I'm going to weigh it instead of just using my measuring cup because I had a feeling I was going to put too much flour. So 3.5 cups flour is about 437 grams, and that's what I aimed for here. In goes a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and then we are going to do 2 teaspoons of baking soda. You slipped because you're covered in flour, honey. Are you okay? And that was 1 teaspoon each of cinnamon, allspice, clove, and salt. This is the trade-off. This is how I was able to bake. The boys played with flour on the countertop, and I decided I would just... JL, I'm trying to do a professional voiceover. My 1-year-old is laying across my lap, so please forgive me for that. Let's put in the oil. Oh, dumping in the sugar. Instead of using a bowl, I'm using the measuring cup that I used for the sugar to crack the eggs into before I pour it into the stand mixer because I want to make sure there are no shells inside. My 4-year-old is back to dump in the eggs. Scraping that can of pumpkin into the machine. My son is dumping in the spices and salt and the baking soda and baking powder. I'm dumping in an unknown amount of vanilla extract and 2/3 cup water. We're gonna dump in the flour. I didn't do this in the order that they told me to do it in. I just dumped it all in. Beautiful song, honey. I scraped down the edges. This voiceover is just going to be my 1-year-old singing. It's awfully cute, though. It asks for 2 9x5, is it 9x5? I don't remember, bread pans.
but I've only got 2, and I know that 3 mini loaf pans usually makes about 1 loaf. So that's how I did that there. Oh, she's on a remix. She's gone from 5 Little Monkeys to Teapot. So I'm just gonna pop them all into the oven. And then I know that baked goods like cakes or breads are finished when they are at 210 degrees. And would you look at that? Look how close that is. It's pretty perfect. So I'm checking the mini loaves just because I felt like they might have cooked a little bit differently. And they did. They got a little bit more brown on the edges, and that's just because it's a darker pan. But they were also done. And then I'm just checking the last one here, and it's also 210 degrees. Here they are finished out of the oven. You can see that the mini loaves, they had risen a bit better, and they've also got a bit more darkness just because the pan is darker. But dark pans cook a bit hotter than regular pans, but they were quite delicious despite the big ones not rising how I would have liked. I popped them out of the pans immediately, and this is what they turned out like. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Some sitting on my counter right now. I ought to go have a piece. Next up is this lasagna. Into the pot, we're putting a pound of ground beef and a pound of sausage. She asked you to use sage sausage. I wasn't sure if my sausage was sagey enough, so I added some herbs, some sage to that. I also salt and pepper my meat, not in the recipe. I use onion powder and garlic powder as well, just because I feel like that's a habit of mine to do when I'm cooking meat. And then I'm gonna chop some onions up so that I can throw those in. I'm using my awesome mixer here. Love this thing. I learned about that from YouTube. Banana. That's lime, honey. I left that in there because YouTube makes it look like things go easy. Boy, I was interrupted by the diaper brigade many times. All right, here I am struggling with some pepperoni. The recipe called for a pound, but I just used what I had left over in my refrigerator, which wasn't nearly a pound, maybe a half or less. Added the onion on into the pot. Added some dehydrated garlic just because I'm trying to get rid of that. And then I added that pepperoni in. And then I'm already regretting my pot size. I'm dumping the diced tomatoes on in there and some tomato paste, and that's when I finally decided, well, I should have just went ahead and used the bigger pot. Here I am with a bigger pot. In went some water, which I decided, why would I add water when I could add broth? So I did half a garlic base to the broth and then half a bone broth, a beef bone broth, which is like beef stock, kind of. And those are what I decided to use instead of just adding water. I wanted to add more flavor at any point that I could. I mixed it all up here. In goes the salt. In goes some pepper. In goes some herbs. She asked for just oregano, but I added basil, thyme, and I crunch it up in my hands like this just so I feel like it opens up the flavor more. I don't know. This looks like quite a lot, but it's a little like a heaping tablespoon. It looks like a fistful, but by golly, it was good. I didn't have any ricotta in my fridge, so I just made homemade ricotta. And this is, all you do is warm up some milk and throw some vinegar in, wait for it to curdle, and pull the curdles out.
Yeah, you're gonna give me a hug and a kiss?
No!
I'm coming back.
No!
She needs to sleep, she's tired.
That was my oldest not wanting the youngest to go to bed. So I made a pan out of foil because I didn't feel like doing another dish. And then I used this smoky garlic butter my mom got me, and I buttered up some thick bread. This is going to be a side. It's a garlic toast. And then I added some oregano also, and then I just set that thing in the oven right next to the lasagna, and it turned out pretty good. Here I am pulling some curdles out in my cheesecloth, letting it drain away from the whey. I put some sauce down in the pan, and then I put some lasagna noodles on top, and then my husband acted like an extended counter space so I could add my homemade ricotta. And then we're going to listen to his incoming dad joke about ricotta cheese. I didn't get it at first. Tune in.
Rick for some cheese.
Rick?
Yeah,
Who's that?
Rick out of cheese.
Oh my gosh.
Should ask him.
Wow. That was some mozzarella, and now I'm adding the freshly grated Parmesan to the top, and then I repeat the layers and throw it on into the oven. When I'm not so pressed for time, someday my salads will be like Stacy's salads from Let's Cook, y'all. Until then, I just have some spinach and croutons. Here is the bubbling lasagna. Doesn't that look amazing? It was actually pretty delicious. My husband loved the flavor, and I forgot to take a picture of the plate, so there you go. The next day, I made chicken poppy seed salad for lunch. All I did was throw all of the ingredients, which are some slivered almonds, dill, poppy seed, diced up chicken, celery, grapes. Threw it all into the bowl. And then I'm gonna pepper it, salt it, add the mayonnaise, but not all the mayonnaise, because sometimes it can be too much mayonnaise. You can always add some more and you can't always take it out. After I mixed it up, I gave it a little taste and decided I'm gonna squirt some lemon in mine. She didn't say to do that, but I think it's a good idea to do so. And then I got to looking at it. I'm mixing it. I'm looking at that picture and I'm like, she toasted her slivered almonds. At least in that picture it was toasted, and it didn't say anywhere in the recipe to do that. I was going to toast them, but I didn't because she didn't tell me to. So I was like, man, I really should have toasted those. Even without toasting the almonds, it was still very delicious. Before you screenshot this, let me just say that they were not very good. They tasted like the yeast smells when it's dissolving in the warm water. I'm showing you the bite marks on the stick of butter. Yes, my toddlers take bites out of the butter sticks. We're gonna dissolve some rapid yeast into some warm water, not hot water, because that'll actually kill the yeast and then your bread won't rise. And then we're gonna wait for that to completely dissolve. In goes the sugar, followed by the butter. And then I'm just gonna blend it up. What an angle, right? Let's all just take a look at my arm while I crack an egg. In goes the yeast. And then we're gonna blend it up some more. Add your flour a little bit at a time, or if you're like me, end up just dumping it all in at once. And then we're going to, that's what it looks like. We're gonna wrap it up with some saran wrap and then stick it in the fridge. The next day, I sprayed my mini muffin pan with some Pam. Took some spoons and spooned out some dough and baked them. Mine look a little bit more rustic than hers. Pictured are very smooth, and this is what they turned out like. I will never make these again. The next day, I made some lemon meringue pie. If this recipe is hard for you to see, I've linked every single recipe in the description. I have this wonderful tool. It is a small, handy manual food processor, so I don't have to get out my big heavy thing and plug it in. I'm gonna crunch up some graham crackers and then just pop the lid on there and pull that handle, and then spins the blade around just like that. And I'm gonna obliterate my graham cracker crumbs just like so. I'm melting my butter in this dish instead of in a bowl, just to not waste dishes. I'm gonna separate my egg yolks here because we are going to make a meringue. Zesting my lemon, being careful not to get all the way down to the pith. If you can see white, that means you've zested too far. That pith is very bitter. Here I am using my brand new lemon squeezer. It was an America's Test Kitchen top-rated tool. It was only $12 on Amazon. I'm dumping in my graham crackers and sugar. I'm gonna take off my ring and do it the old-fashioned way. Use my hands, roll up my sleeves, get in there, and just press that into a crust. And then I'm going to take the lemon juice, pour it into the yolks, add the lemon zest. This is a tool, Mad Hungry. I love these silicone tools. There's a bunch of different sizes. This is for my mom. She loves orange. My mom gave me these. And then we dump an entire can of sweetened condensed milk into the mixture. Mix it up. I probably could have used a better utensil to do that, but here we are. Dumped it on top of the crust. Then we're going to take the egg whites, add a 1/4 teaspoon of meringue, and then start beating it up. Add some sugar little by little. Keep on beating until you have soft peaks. And I did. I had soft peaks, as I will show you. However, I have several children, and between fire after fire, my meringue sat on the counter for longer than I'd like to admit, and my stiff peaks weren't so, or my soft peaks weren't so soft anymore. Here they are going in looking all right. And then after some time, I'm trying to make little decorations, but they're not even holding soft peaks anymore because my meringue just totally flattened. But that's life. It was still pretty when it came out of the oven. However, this cake, or pie rather, okay, I am not a big pie person. Here I go baking it. Isn't it beautiful? But I decided I would try to make pie. Even if I don't like something, I try it over and over again because I always wonder, hey, do I like it now? I try to expose myself to it to see if my taste changes. But I still don't like pie so much, though I'm trying it more than I used to. This lemon meringue could be a good pie if you like lemon meringue pie, but I'm not a very good determining factor, as I do not care for pie so much. That pie was incredibly sweet and I could barely tolerate eating it. Maybe it's good lemon meringue, but it was just so sweet. All right, that concludes the recipes from Home Cooking with Trisha Yearwood. This is overall a really great cookbook, despite the spoon rolls and the lemon meringue that the jury's still out on that. And I hope you did enjoy this cookbook. Cook with me. Have a nice day. See you in the next one.